Hi sir, thanks for coming on such a short notice. So let me give you guys a disclaimer. Sir recently posted a story on Instagram saying that I'm going to quit coffee. Sir, I know that you are a coffee lover. So we used to go to have coffee every now and then, any small thing, and we used to have coffee together. A hectic day or a good day.
Yeah, and I used to ask you to come with
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah, right. So, what was the reason to quit coffee? Any specific reason?
See, I love coffee, correct? And I still love coffee. It's not that I have started hating it or is there something else. I still love it, but you have to know the main reason why I have to leave coffee. For that, you have to understand what does coffee do to your body. Alright.
So, it rejuvenates us, it increases our attention, the focus, and it makes us feel more alert. We can focus on our work properly. Then, why? Isn't it a good part?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. See, those all things are there, but many people have that, I can say, coffee-gasms, like you were explaining so many things that can.
Coffee-gasm?
Yeah, I mean, see, people enjoy having their coffee.
Yeah.
Now you are laughing about this term coffee-gasm, but try to understand what does coffee do to your body. So what it actually does, like you said, that it keeps you awake. It should question yourself. You should question yourself. Why does it keep me awake? I mean, how many cups of coffee are alright? Some people are like, I can have as much coffee as possible in a day because it improves focus. Is it really good? Has anyone thought that what is the working? So let me tell you the working so you'll understand what was my rationale behind leaving it.
Yeah.
Now see, once you wake up in the morning, you feel fresh, alright, you feel rejuvenated, whatever, alright, when you wake up. Now, you feel better because there are certain chemicals in your brain like adenosine, which is missing when you wake up. Now, what is adenosine? Have you heard ATP?
Yes.
Adenosine
triphosphate.
Excellent. Okay, so ATP is the storehouse of energy. Energy, right?
Yeah.
Our brain is constantly working. Whether you are awake, you are sleeping, the brain is working. So brain needs energy in the form of ATP. ATP is broken down and it releases adenosine.
Yeah.
Now this adenosine has certain receptors in your brain. Okay?
Yeah.
And once that adenosine binds those receptors, now that adenosine is a byproduct of using the energy. So once adenosine binds those receptors, you start feeling, okay, now my energy is reducing, now I want to rest, now I want to sleep. Okay, so what does coffee do? Once you take that coffee, now see, this chair was meant for adenosine.
Yeah.
Let's make it simple. These chairs were meant for adenosine.
Yeah.
Coffee comes in and occupies those chairs so that adenosine doesn't have anywhere to sit.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean adenosine is destroyed. Adenosine is still there.
Yeah.
Alright. And it keeps on saturated. Okay. And coffee is such a strong competitor, it literally elbows out adenosine and says, no, this is my chair, I'm gonna sit.
Okay.
And that's the reason you start feeling better. When was the first time you have coffee in the day?
Early morning, whenever we get up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So early morning, you woke up with less adenosine. Okay. And you have taken coffee. Now coffee is occupying those sites.
Yes.
The half-life of coffee is 5 to 6 hours.
5 to 6 hours.
So say you have coffee at what time?
Around 8:39.
So you have it around 8. So after 6 hours, coffee starts metabolizing.
Yeah.
So that's when you have that coffee crash at around 2:30,
Yeah.
when actually your work begins.
Yes.
And that is the time when you feel like, okay, now the morning has gone, this is afternoon. And that is when you start feeling the crash. So the adenosine is already waiting for coffee to leave the chair so that it occupies the chair. Once the coffee leaves, adenosine occupies those chairs and you have that crash and you might sleep at that time. And then what you do? At around 2:30, 3, you keep on dragging, you're like, no, let's keep on dragging. And now there are lots of adenosine waiting there.
Yes.
So they just jump in, whatever chance they have, they occupy all the receptors. So at around 3:34, you're like, let's have coffee. You have one more cup of coffee. That coffee stays till 9:30.
Yeah.
Now you will again say that what's wrong in it? I'll have coffee at 4.
Exactly, that was going to be my next question. So isn't it good that we are being focused, or there is something driving us, to stay awake so that we can do more work, we can be more productive? So isn't that a good thing?
It's absolutely a good thing. The timing and the amount of coffee makes it a poison.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have your coffee at 4:35 and it keeps you alert again. So in the evening you feel alert, and by around 9:30, 10 you start having that coffee crash. You sleep at around 11:30. But the sleep that you have is not that deep. You lose your deep sleep. Alright, that's very important. Now, say if I lose deep sleep, it's 30% less than someone else. It's like you being young, if you lose 30% of sleep, deep sleep, not just sleep, you may sleep 7 hours, but if you lose that 30% of sleep, you have aged 12 years.
Oh, crazy.
And if the same thing goes on for a long time, you have lost your deep sleep. So people wake up, they feel, though I have slept 7 hours, they are not rejuvenated, they don't feel fresh. So what do? Let's have coffee. So that circle keeps on happening. Now, coffee and adenosine, that's one part. Second part, all those you said, it rejuvenates you, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, the caffeine kick.
Excellent. Now that feeling of good, feeling of well-being comes from dopamine. Have you heard about
Yes.
You have heard about dopamine. So dopamine is a feel-good hormone or chemical in your body. Now how strong that dopamine is. There's a very good experiment in which the rat was given a choice between food and a small button. If he goes and just presses that button, circuits were connected to his brain.
Yeah.
Those circuits will stimulate him and release dopamine. That rat died of starvation because it kept on pushing that button. It did not require food, but it required that dopamine.
Oh.
So each and every animal, we as mammals, we as humans, we want dopamine. And we are getting our kicks from coffee. And that, there is a threshold for that. So 1 cup of coffee, it gives dopamine. Next few weeks, 2 cups of coffee, then your threshold has, the dopamine threshold has increased. You are not satisfied by whatever dopamine is released, and then you keep on having that coffee, and then you start feeling that crash. I mean, come on, this coffee used to give me such a good feeling. Now let's try different coffee. Now instead of espresso, I'll try cappuccino. Instead of that, frappuccino, then grappuccino. You keep on adding some.
Yeah, so that
sugar.
makes you get adapted to it, and then you increase the dosage. Like initially, if you used to take like 2 cups, now you require 3 or 4, and that's how it goes on increasing. And
Yeah,
that's
and not only that. Now, next thing, frappuccino is so nice because it has lots of sugar, whipped cream, dopamine. So you become that junkie. Now, what does heroin do? What does LSD do? What those drugs do? They give you that kick. It releases dopamine. Therefore, they are called as Superman drugs. It makes you feel good.
True.
And the same thing legally you are having in coffee. You become like a junkie.
True.
Alright. See, now I hate being self-righteous, but after leaving coffee for 1 week's time, now I'm feeling little better. I don't feel that craving like in the morning I need my coffee.
Okay.
I cannot function without my coffee. Who does that?
Yeah. So there comes my next question. Are you never gonna have coffee again?
I am gonna have coffee. and see, this time it won't be the need for me to have that coffee, but this is gonna be the want. I'll be having the coffee because I want that coffee. Or maybe I'll have that coffee if I want to focus, if I want to work, and that will give me that focus that requires lots of attention. Maybe that time I might have coffee. And if I'm gonna have coffee, it's gonna be at the start of the day and not towards the end of the day. And that too, yeah. Like I said, the timing of coffee and the amount of coffee makes it a poison. If you have it like, say, 2 hours after waking up, I would suggest have coffee at least 2 to 3 hours after waking up. Alright, you said you wake up at around what time?
7:30.
7:30. And within half an hour, 45 minutes, you want your coffee.
Otherwise, I can't function.
That is junkie behavior. I need my high. I want it. So, okay. So, I would recommend have that coffee at least 2 to 3 hours later, because when you wake up with high cortisol and adrenaline levels. So you're already that high.
Yeah.
Okay. So try to utilize those natural stimulants before you have your coffee. So that coffee, when you have that coffee, it will again give you that feeling of betterment, and you will function a little better. I don't know.
So my next question was, why did you stop it in steps? Why did you stop it abruptly? Today I'm going to stop it completely. Because I had seen some days back, you did the same thing about being vegan. You stopped eating non-veg, because we used to love non-veg. We have non-veg all the time whenever we want to celebrate. So why did you stop abruptly? And why not in steps? Like today 5 cups, tomorrow 3 cups. Why not like that?
Okay. First of all, I never had 5 cups. Okay. So, okay, veganism is different.
True.
Okay. We might talk about it later. What was my experience being completely vegan
But now you're back to eating non.
I'm back to eating non, and that's the reason. I mean, we might discuss it later, but today it's like, say, I'm an alcoholic, recovering. Assume I'm an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic, or a cigarette smoker. So, being a recovering alcoholic in my rehab center, will they give me in the evening, doc, this is your small cup of alcohol. So tomorrow you'll have 1/4 cup of alcohol. They don't do that, because that small cup of alcohol is gonna give you craving. Oh, if I can have this much, I can have a little bit more. I can have a little bit more. Why not? And that's the exact reason, and not that stupid reason that I put on my story.
Yeah, that reason.
Yeah.
Because we can.
That was just a gimmick. But yeah, this is the actual reason that if you want to stop, you should stop. Okay. And that's the main reason, nothing else. Because you just can't say, I'll have 1 cup and then I'll see, and then tomorrow I won't have a cup of coffee. Because trust me, it's been more than 2 weeks. Even the smell of coffee reminds me of the taste. I start salivating. Even right now, thinking of coffee and the smell, I'm salivating. So it is the craving and that want. It's very strong. It's just like a junkie feeling.
So should I stop drinking coffee? What do you think?
Well, it's all your personal thing. I mean, if you want to leave, why not?
Yeah.
But trust me, it's not that easy. The withdrawals that you have, the first few days, I felt very irritable. I used to feel irritated because the time when I have my coffee and when that coffee reaches your system and you feel that high, and you don't have that coffee in your system at that high point, which is around 11 when I start my work, I used to get irritated. And later on, I used to feel sleepy because now all the receptors, okay, one more thing. If the receptors are occupied by coffee, adenosine is waiting, more receptors are formed
Oh.
to occupy adenosine. Now imagine there is no coffee and all that is left are these more receptors.
More receptors and more adenosine.
And adenosine which is forming, constantly forming. So the sleep that you have, you feel more drowsy, you feel sleepy for first few days, it goes on, and those are the withdrawals. I mean, and yeah, I did have some flu-like symptoms, and maybe that's all. And other things, I don't think it was because of coffee, maybe because of food that I was having. But yeah, irritability, drowsiness, sleepiness, I wasn't able to focus. I used to feel like just dragging my work. I used to decide and talk a little bit less with my patients. So yeah, it did happen, but it stopped after a week, I don't know, 8-9 days. Later on, now I'm all right. Alright. Now I can have good communication. I always despised people who used to sleep wherever they feel like sleeping, like teenagers.
Like teenagers, yeah.
Oh my God, teenagers! They can sleep wherever they want, whenever they want, and I really feel it. Not in the physical aspect, but but in the sleep aspect, definitely.
Yeah.
Now I can sleep whenever I want, and that's the beauty of not having that stimulant. So if you want to feel that, you can join it. But I won't recommend just just because I am doing it. You have to think of the pros and cons.
Yeah, the pros and the cons. So yeah, I'll definitely think about it. I'll reduce my coffee intake. Right now I take around 3 cups. We'll reduce it slowly, and I'll let you know. So you said about having coffee after 2 hours after waking up. So if I have it at 8, for example, so when should be my next coffee cup? So what should be the time interval between the 2 cups?
Okay, so if you are having coffee at 8, you should be waking up at 5:30. Okay, so assume you are waking up at 7:30. Let's be true here.
Realistic.
Yeah, realistic here. You wake up at 7:30. You have your coffee at 9:30 or 10. That's the right time to have the coffee. And the next coffee you should have, say, 8 to 10 hours before you sleep. So if you decide to go to bed at around 10:30, so take it 10 hours or 8 hours before you go to sleep. So that should be your second cup if you deem it necessary. Alright, because I think 1 cup should be sufficient, and people have started like, should I drink decaf? So I have my green tea.
Yeah.
I don't have coffee, I have my green tea. So let me tell you right now, at the green tea, cocoa or chocolates, even Coca-Cola has coffee.
Caffeine.
Yeah, everything has caffeine.
Green tea has caffeine?
Absolutely, it has caffeine, but it's just 1/3 of the amount of coffee that a cup of espresso has. It's 1/3, but it has coffee. So tomorrow, don't be like I have given up coffee, but I'm having my green tea. It's just like having a small cup of.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It was mind blowing and mind boggling. I thought that I'll call you here, ask you questions, and try to convince you like I had convinced you to eat non-veg again. I thought that I'll convince you to do it. Yeah. So I thought I'll convince you again to start having coffee, because it was our thing to always have coffee, and I ordered coffee for us. So I was like, after this video or something, we'll have coffee together. But no, now I'm feeling that I should drop the plan of having coffee every day and my addictions.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
Just because you think that it's not good, it is good. It has some. It makes you alert. It makes you focus. But use it sparingly when it's needed.
Yeah.
use the strength of coffee when actually it's needed.
True, true.
So
Thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
having me here.